All right, everyone, thank you so very much for watching the Dr. Grant Show. You are here with me. My name is Dr. Kirsten Grant. I am your show host, and I have here the illustrious Melissa Cline. She is dynamic. She is effervescent. She is also a transformational entity and few all on her own. I lost my wording there. She's so dynamic. I am elated to have her share her story with you. We are all here about mindset. We are here to help and serve women that want to be empowered from food addiction and food addiction symptoms such as overeating, binge eating, emotional eating, stress eating, because a very interesting thing here is a lot of women that I talk to, and some brave men, are under the impression that food addiction and binging is about the food, having a problem with food. But Melissa and I both agree that it's so much more than that. You don't have a problem with food. You have a problem with not having the tools that you need and the mindset tools that you need in order to tackle any challenge that tempts you into overeating and binge eating. So I am very proud to transition over to Melissa. She's going to tell you a bit more about herself and how she came into the fullness of herself. Take it away, Melissa.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kirsten, for that warm welcome. And I'm just so honored to have this discussion with you because I am inspired by the work you do on a daily basis. So just as she said, I'm all about transformation. I'm a mind-body wellness coach, and I work with women to help shift their relationship to food, wellness, and weight loss. I think exactly as Dr. Kirsten mentioned, mindset is very, very key. And so with my clientele, I not only work with those who are struggling with weight loss, but wellness in their mind and in their body, right? So stress can also be physical, worry can be physical, and then other wellness issues that may manifest in the body as well. So I work on a huge gamut of that, but one of the central areas is weight loss. And I think it's so important for a woman to be well in her body and in her mind. Those two things are so connected. Just a little bit about me. I've been doing this work for probably about 5 or 6 years, started straight through the mindset work and saw how mindset was manifesting into weight loss. I mean, into weight gain, right? So people are struggling with stress, depression, all these other things, and then seeing this manifestation physically in the body. And so that transitioned my work to be a little bit more niche with a lot of women of faith who struggle with weight and being able to target those specific roots and heal that root. Because I'm all about healing the root where things are not quite vibrant and fruitful. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm excited for our discussion today.
That is amazing. Now, I read and looked at your website, and you struggled personally with IBS. And I have worked in the past, many moons ago, with women have struggled with that issue. And as I've shared with people before, this is about more than whatever the affliction is. It is what it does to your mind. Can you share a little bit with the people viewing and watching this, how it affected you, and also mindset wise, what you did to address that? And I believe alopecia, if memory serves me correctly.
Absolutely, I was diagnosed with hereditary alopecia, which is very, very serious. But yeah, so I was diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome, also known as IBS. And it is a condition that very much attacks and affects the gut area. My condition was very severe because I was hospitalized so many times. I would say maybe 5 or 6 times, several years from probably about 15 into young adulthood. And it was so bad that I couldn't even go to the hospital. Somebody had to pick me up and take me there. My body literally would turn into a vegetable. And so there's different levels to irritable bowel syndrome, but I loved your question about what I had to do mindset wise to truly heal from that. And number one, interestingly enough, I had to begin my own journey of intuitive wellness. And I use that kind of word because my body was always telling me things, Dr. Kirsten, but I wasn't necessarily taught but through society, through family, through faith, through church, through temple, what have you, to listen to my body intuitively, to give my body what it needs. I was always taught whatever the doctor says goes. So if the doctor says you have hereditary alopecia, well, there's nothing you can do, but try to treat it. If the doctor says that you have irritable bowel syndrome and you'll probably have this the rest of your life, there's nothing that you can do. And so my biggest mindset shift was trusting my own intuition. And that's what I call it, intuitive wellness. There were things that I was digesting that felt like it was toxic to my body, even though it might not have been toxic to somebody else's. And so I start doing my own spiritual journey with God through prayer, through meditation, saying, why does intuitively I feel like the doctor is missing something? Why does intuitively I feel that I have a choice here, even though that choice was never taught to me? Again, I had IBS at 15, that I wasn't taught mentally that I had these choices. I wasn't taught that I could tap into my own subconscious mind and my own conscious mind and figure things out even in my body. I knew nothing about that. So just trusting my own intuition was the first mindset shift that really changed the game for me. I mean, and honestly, Dr. Kirsten, my skin, the IBS also created rashes all over my skin. I could never wear a shirt like this. My hair was coming out, and now, I have my hair, sleek down straight, but my afro is like this. Wash day for me is like a 5-hour process.
All day.
It's like a 5-hour process. So, as a coach, I come from a place of healing myself, I've gone through that journey myself. And so that's why my wellness coaching is so dear to my heart.
Now, I'd like to do a wee bit more of a deeper dive with you on the intuitive eating part, and just the thing that I'm gravitating towards. I believe a lot of women, and once again, some brave men, because I have some men that let me know, hey, we watch you too. But here's what I want to help people hone in on. And I preface this in the context of saying, in the busyness and the go and rush of life, it is immensely, from my experience, easy to miss those quiet, subtle nudges that our body gives us, those subtle signals that our body gives us and lets us know, this isn't working for me. Can you open people's eyes and help increase their awareness based on your own experience? What were the subtle nudges that perhaps, and signals that your body gave you to help you see that something that you ate or was taking wasn't working?
I love that. I absolutely love that. I want to preface my response with history, and just take it historically back 400 plus years. And, to women of color who are tuning in, what a lot of our ancestors experienced, right? If they were here in the United States, is working literally from sunup to sundown. Okay. Working from the rising of the sun to going down, and then potentially having to continue to work as far as trying to do some sort of dinner, some sort of preparation, some sort of tending to the children after they have finished their work. And I am definitely talking about slavery. So this mindset in certain communities of color, and even deeper in Black communities, and Native communities and Black Native communities, is such a deeper level of work ethic. And so I had to acknowledge that as a Black Native woman, from Mississippi, right? My family is still on some of the lands that our ancestors had. So I'm very close to home, even with I had to tap into the idea of this level of work that my family is experiencing is really unique to our heritage. And so
Okay.
it can be even more difficult. And for me, it was very difficult to hear those nudges because again, that mindset of you either work from sun up to sundown or you potentially lose your life. Now, some people might say that this is dramatic, but
No, it's not.
but
It's
we have to,
epigenetics at its finest.
yeah, and acknowledging that my grandfather, his father was a slave in Mississippi. It was very close. So what my grandparents taught my parents, right? And my grandparents were taught by slaves. So that level of work ethic is so deep. And so I've seen it even in my own family of having a silent moment to hear a nudging of the body and intuitive wellness is so far removed because of some of that trauma and from some of that intergenerational learning. And so I had to, Dr. Kirsten, completely kind of remove myself from, in this particular area, from my family's mindset to even allow myself to heal. And so this is something I do with my clients. I allow them to take a time of sanctuary, is what I call it, taking a time of sanctuary where you can set yourself apart, because some of the connections that we have intergenerationally are keeping us from hearing those nudges because of how our culture and community communicates with each other. It's so deep. And so when you talk about food addiction and the types of food I was eating, I had no idea that that was really an issue, because community-wise, it's like you got to work as much as you can, make as much money as you can, and then whatever you can grab on the go or whatever is culturally acceptable. Mac and cheese, grits, cornbread. I had to remove myself from all of those things to even hear the intuition.
Okay, now this opens up another leg of the conversation and a question, because even if a person is aware that, or becoming slowly awakened to, regardless of their nationality, that this traditional diet from my ancestors isn't working. And I think about for some reason, German schnitzel comes to mind for some reason. Something that's deep fried, but essentially every culture has something that we all know, nutritionally speaking, we're not eating it for its vitality, nutritionally speaking. We're eating it because of the way that it tastes, and there's nothing else redeeming about it. Okay. But the peer pressure is also what often, from my past experience of working with women, is still what holds you and buttonholes you down into adhering to that diet that doesn't sustain you and doesn't nourish you. How did you, or are you still wrestling with this? How do you handle the family, close tie, loved ones still trying to nudge you in the direction of embracing old habits because it's tradition, but it no longer serves you physically and biologically?
That's such a great question. I think one of the ways that I've been able to kind of hone my own health regimen that is very different from a lot of my family members, some not so, but a lot of my family members, it is very different, is one, accepting what they do that's excellent. There's a lot of people in my family who, and I think anybody can attest to this, no matter what family you're in, that there's some things that your family does and they do it in excellence, whether it's how they run their business or things that they've overcome, their level of education, or the work that they do in community. And so by acknowledging what they do in excellence, it also gives me an opportunity to separate that as it pertains to food. So,
All right.
yeah.
So are you saying, okay, because I'm the kind of person where, forgive me, and I know there are others out there like me, I'm the kind of person where you need to give me the words, honey. So do I say, I love your macaroni and cheese? It doesn't work for me though, but I appreciate it. And by the way, you are so educated. I love how smart you are. Like, how does that conversation flow and work in order not to step on a person's toes, but still at the same time really protect yourself based on the knowledge that you know? Hopefully that makes sense.
No, it does. I would say speak your truth, and that's what I do. I really don't even sugarcoat it.
Okay.
I might say, oh, I don't eat that. I can't get down with that. My body does not process that. I will just be factual and be honest. But because I don't harp on that, right? Because I've acknowledged the other things, I've acknowledged all of these incredible things that they're doing in excellence, and I'm not harping on it, it becomes, well, Melissa, that's that thing that, oh, and then it gets to the point where people understand, Melissa eats a certain way. Melissa lives a certain way. Melissa prays a certain way. Melissa meditates a certain way. And that's okay. And again, for me, it's not about harping like, oh, do you know that macaroni and cheese is this, and this? But what I find is as I speak my truth, oh, my body won't be able to digest that. I know if I eat that amount, it's too much for me. What will happen is family members will circle back around and they'll be like, well, I've been struggling with this. What do you think? And then that opens up this window of kind of like exploration and sharing where it's on their terms as opposed to throwing the rocks and stones at them. And they're like, oh, here we go. I stay away from that part.
Because I believe, and also have observed, that one of the other unspoken things that people often don't cover when they go to embrace a new lifestyle and a new habit and a new way of eating is feeling the lack of support. And that lack of support, it manifests itself in feeling like you don't belong, because we have to think about this from a primal perspective. From the dawn of caveman days, being accepted and conforming allowed you to stay in the tribe, stay in the cave, and you were able to stay from the saber-toothed tiger, okay? If you did not conform and you didn't want to eat whatever the tribe was eating, you were labeled a heretic, okay? And you were cast out. And a single person getting cast out by themselves to fend didn't survive. So it is actually genetically encoded into our DNA as humans to naturally conform. And this is the reason why it's so challenging to change habits, especially health habits that are rooted in tradition.
I love it. And, I have to say this because this is a community that I work so heavily with, Black women and Black women of faith and women of faith in general. That community can be so tight, but it's not always uplifting when it comes to the health of the gut that I've seen. There are some places that are doing a great job. And so it's so true. And I will say, part of my journey, transitioning my mindset, I'm learning new things, I'm studying from holistic practitioners, realizing that I could heal myself. It was a very isolating journey to start. And I would say to anyone who's listening to on the show, when you have gotten to a point, and like myself, I have been hospitalized so many times. When you get to that breaking point, you have to ask yourself, is being with the community today more important than my life tomorrow? Knowing that in a week I can rejoin them. right? And I had to ask myself that question, what is going to feed me the most? I have a conscious mind, so I know that community feels good to me. But when you're at a breaking point, I think it's okay to ask yourself, can I break away to get what I need? And then come back with new information, new insights to share, and an amazing testimony. Because taking care of you will always give you an incredible testimony to share. I believe that.
And I honestly, I think that is the best approach to it, to not look at it in a form of permanency. And I think this helps mindset wise ease the fear and trepidation of taking on and maintaining and sustaining. Sustaining and sustainability is my task and goal with this venture. And this is the reason why I love what you're sharing. And as we've chatted before, I had other questions pre-prepared, but this rabbit hole was so important to go down, because I genuinely feel that that's why I asked, give me the words, because I think some people, we read and we come across all these great free resources that cover it superficially, topically. But when you're in the midst of that situation, often, or at least for myself, I'm at a loss for words. And I know there are other people out there that are completely at a loss for words. You want to sustain the healthier lifestyle, whatever change that is. It doesn't mean that you're going straight 180, but you want to sustain the healthier lifestyle, but it often falls flat in the long run because we don't have the words and the mindset like, oh, I don't get ostracized from the tribe forever. I'm going to choose myself and share how to choose myself with people. And I'm not going to be gone forever. I get to rejoin them, and they're going to see by my transformation, maybe they need to embrace this behavior too.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, absolutely. And it's a very healing process, honestly, because it's not just food. It's not just a potato chip, or for me, I used to drink a lot of Arizona iced teas. That was specifically, I was drinking a lot of that. I could drink that over a meal, and it was so much sugar. The sugar was getting in my skin and the whole thing. But it's not just that, it's a lack of even understanding on how to care for your body. And then when you think about that, a lot of times, and I go back to this generational thing, if you're not taught an understanding of how to care for your particular body, right? And then so then you have to say why. Are there generations of people who haven't been taught how to care for their body? Where does that come from? And then if you have these people who are people who are busy and working tirelessly, and so it's so connected. But the mind is powerful. And going back to how you started the show today, which was so powerful, the mindset shift that can happen can not only awaken you and heal your body, heal your gut, lose weight, get your skin beautiful and shining and glowing, alopecia completely gone, hair fully back. Not only that, but it'll help you in so many other areas of your life, because once you overcome something like this, you start to realize you can overcome hundreds of different things by the power of your own mindset. And I'm a person of faith, so I'm just so grateful to God that I was able to make that transition. But now that I, have healed my gut, so many other areas in my life have been healed just because of that.
And I love that. That's probably what I'm going to wind up closing with, because I can't emphasize this enough. It's once you tap into the healing from the food perspective and the mindset perspective, that shift is not compartmentalized. It's not in a box and only benefiting you here. It has tentacles, it has roots, and they begin to seep out, and you can't help it. This improvement, this glow from the inside out, this transformation, you begin to, or at least from my experience, you begin to feel confident in other areas. Your job improves, your career prospects improve. If you're in a relationship, your relationship prospects improve. Just everything, the hobbies, everything begins to reorganize itself and shift to your betterment. And life opens up to you. Instead of blockages, you begin to see opportunities where you hadn't seen them before, because you achieve a certain level of clarity, because one success feeds and snowballs into the other.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So tell people where they can find such a powerful woman as yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, you can connect with me over at mindbodyministries.org on my website, and that'll also connect you to my Instagram and other social media channels. And I offer one-on-one coaching and additional resources on my social media in case you heard something today that you just want to feed upon and kind of sit with, journal out. Definitely go over to mindbodyministries.org.
Okay. And for other episodes of the Dr. Grant Show, log on to edibleaddiction.com. Everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with us. It has been a pleasure, Melissa.
It has been a pleasure and an honor. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, I will see you guys soon. The Dr. Grant Show is featured on Mondays, live on Wednesdays, and Saturdays with additional content always posted on all the social media platforms. Kirsten Grant, PhD for Instagram, edibleaddiction.com, and Edible Addiction under Facebook, and Phoenix 6 under Pinterest. Everyone, thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening and day. Much love to all of you. Bye.